that it is not a little nonpartisan group that hangs around. They're writing essentially Republican, extreme right-wing laws for, and now in Arizona you had the perfect petri dish. You had the Jan Brewer, you had Russell Pierce, you had two majorities in the House and in the Senate there, and so they had the perfect little experiment, and so that guns. They passed a law that Bible studies in our public schools, which will be challenged as well. They try to pass a law to make it a felony for any doctor to terminate a pregnancy, even in extreme cases. You know, and that's the petri dish. And ALEC is responsible. The private prison industry is responsible. Some of the top advisors to Brewer. Isn't it, what a coincidence, now that we have this harsh 1070, there's a demand for more detention areas at a state level, and guess what, all the prisons that have been built recently under Brewer and even before Brewer are all private prisons by this company. You know, a refuge for civil rights, civil libertarians, human rights, equity issues has always been the judicial branch and the Supreme Court at the end of the day. And when people that feel that as a minority they're being abused by the majority, always had that refuge to go to for the Constitution and for their protection. When you see that not as a viable alternative anymore, I think what happens, and you're going to see it in this election, I don't care how much Romney parades Rubio around, I don't care how he tries to pivot. When you damage the reputation of a state that relies on trade, relies on businesses relocating, relies on visitors to its national parks, to its various amenities that it has, where tourism is a huge part of the thing, there's going to be an effect. And the call was to try to get you know, slap some level of understanding and attention on the part of the leadership that we're doing this. You're going to create dire consequences, economic and social, for the state. Obviously, that kind of a strategy, when you have someone that's so fixated ideologically, that are using this as a wedge issue, that have promoted the concept of division and fear, and we need to be afraid of them, we need to separate them from us, you can't get to them. And so, as a way to try to nationalize the issue, and I guess we did, but also at the same time trying to get them to understand there's going to be consequences. That consequence part never took hold. You know, regardless of the effect on the economy, and you know, if 270 were to be upheld by the Supreme Court, and you would see you'd see the division and everything even intensify more in the state. I don't think they would back away from it at all. I mean, the concern for people working there, the concern for not only livelihood but the social fabric of that state. And now, if the Supreme Court were to decide that 1070 should be upheld, particularly its core issue, which is the show me your papers section, that allows law enforcement on the basis of reasonable suspicion just to demand citizenship papers of anybody, then I think that the reputation and people wanting to stay away from what many might consider an unwelcoming environment is going to continue, and the economic consequences are going to continue.